Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hello there, Scott's Hugs. Good to see you, Miss Jen and the birds. Great to see you. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one tonight. I was thinking of that. Well, you remember Golden Earring, that famous song, Twilight Zone? Great song. Great song. It was in my head all day today. I get songs that they just stay in my head for days sometimes.
I do too. Catch Many. Good to see you. Good to see you. And arrows. I always do arrows wrong. Say arrows there.
Rosale Eduardo.
Yes, Rosale Eduardo. Good to see you. Hello, Miss Renee Matthews. Running the Gauntlet. Good to see you. Sending you positive vibes too. Annie Luhu. Israel, good to see you. Yes, Israel, got your message last night. Forgot to reply, but yes, we are on and I'm excited.
Yeah, and I want to just apologize for what to me feels like we've been a little bit detached or what have you.
Yeah.
Just because we've been building the coop and the chicken run. I'm going to have some photos and video for you probably in the next day or two as we're getting close to finishing it up. It's been a big adventure. And, we've been like pulled in so many different directions at the same time. And so, just want to apologize for not being our normal selves and getting, 3 or 4 videos a day up. Because, again, we've done more than 6,000 videos and lives in 9 years, which I think is prolific, overall. I think pretty prolific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a lot. We got it down. Sir Sin Havoc, good to see you. Emily, hi. Miss Susan Donahue. Ron, good to see you guys. Emperor Rex and Jay. Hi, K. Henry. Miss KK.
Yeah, absolutely. So good to see all you guys. We got Boston in the house. Jay Barrett's up in Boston. And then Keith is over in Rhode Island, right next to you. I forget where Sin Havoc was from. Is that North Carolina? We have people from all over. KK over in, obviously, Washington, and Susan Donahue over in San Francisco area. Man, it's great to have family everywhere.
It is. It's good to have people here and there and everywhere. And now we're all here in the same room.
Yes, it's very, very intimate group. Just us, the puppies, and 9 chickens.
Yes.
Hopefully, not too many roosters.
I know. Yeah, we're hoping. We have a suspicion, but
we do have a suspicion that there's 2. But we'll see. Time will tell. So, it's just another wild day in the Twilight Zone here on Earth at the changing of a yuga. It's crazy. Where is Robbie? Yeah, I don't know. Where is Robbie? And Bob Hawk, New Hampshire. Good to see New Hampshire in the house, too. I'm sure Robbie will show up.
Yeah, he'll be here momentarily, I'm sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. We do appreciate the thumbs up, making sure everybody is subscribed to all 3 channels on YouTube. Evolutionary Energy Arts, EEARTS, and Heart's Home. That's the newest. Good to see you, Diana, and good to see you, Dolores. So there we have more North Carolina and more Florida in the house. It's so easy now to see a lot more correlations that we might have thought were very, very mystical, spiritual, and understand now from a different perspective. We're just talking about beings different than us, but in many cases, perhaps way more advanced in their understanding of the universe compared to us. If you've ever read Exodus 13, verse 21, and the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night. And yet they got lost in the wilderness for 40 years, on a trip that should have taken, even by foot, 2 weeks.
Well,
What the heck happened there?
they did not divulge that somebody had GPS and they were not sharing it. So, they got led in circles, and I have my own other suspicions too.
Yes, absolutely. But think about this. The clouds, the pillar of fire, it's so easy to see now and think, well, what are we really, really talking about? I think that we're talking about a UAP in today's terminology, a UFO perhaps. Well, here you go. Here you go. Look up. That cloud is coming this way. It's up in Winnemucca, Nevada. Oh, we got family up that way.
Oh, indeed, up that way. That's a very interesting, very defined looking cloud, wouldn't you guys say?
I wonder if that's, any bit at all similar to what led the Israelites around in the desert for 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something like that, except for that one's a little bit smaller, and it's also horizontal. But who knows? Maybe the one in that Bible was also horizontal. We just don't know. I do have a feeling it was bigger, though.
Yeah, in Lexington, South Carolina, I used to go to a Lutheran church there, even though I didn't really believe in traditional Christianity and hadn't for 25, 30 years at that point. But I still went to church. Why did I do that? Just for fellowship and for making friends and feeling supported, and also trying to expand minds. And we had a pastor there. His name was Rusty. He's in the Dallas area now. Great guy who was very understanding, and he understood aliens. He thought there were aliens. He just looked at religion as a tool to bring people together, which it could be. Absolutely, it could be. Unfortunately, it's also been used as a tool of division. But, there's so many good people out there. And, we don't go out in public too much. We really kind of keep to ourselves a lot, or we're, again, interacting with you guys. So people that are very, very awake. But yet, when I do encounter people out there, I'm stunned to find how many people have woke up. They've really woken up, and they're still trying to blend their religious beliefs with now the knowledge that we're not alone, that there are interdimensional beings, more than likely. Yeah, absolutely. Extraterrestrial, maybe inner Earth, and again, beings that live under the ocean. Beings that disguise themselves as clouds because maybe they don't want to be seen until they do. And it seems like now a lot of them do want to be seen. Yeah, yes, we are all fully aware these aliens create clouds that surround their craft and watch us. Well, now it makes that biblical phrase from the book of Exodus make an awful lot of sense, doesn't it?
Well, it certainly does shed a lot of light on the subject.
It absolutely does. Yeah, Rusty was great. Jen says he sounds like a cool guy. Yeah, he was. He was exceptional, and had a lot of really great discussions with him. Luminosity of these orbs is absolutely stunning. This is in Bogota, Colombia. Wow. Again, there's just so much out there. I'm sure, as we're going to see, there is a lot of AI slop as well. I think meant to be a distraction, and sometimes just for a little bit of laughter, perhaps.
Oh my gosh, Karma Doc's in the house said she had 4 cancer consults today alone in the ER. Let that sink in. She's not an oncologist. A walk-in ER seems, I guess people feel like they need to go to an ER. People are not getting help, and that's true. People need help in this world. I mean, there's so much sickness going around, not to mention the big C. So sorry you had a rough day, Karma Doc. Sending you love.
Yeah, if you feel like it, and I know you've gone through a tough day, if there were 3 top things you would tell somebody that just got diagnosed with cancer, what would it be? What would you say are like just the 3 top things that come to mind For anybody that has cancer, we've obviously shared with you guys a lot of our experience with a variety of different people that were they were told terminally ill. One of our friends, we made a video with him about 6 years ago now. He was told he had 3 to 4 months. That was it. And he was a young man at the time. I think he was around 30 or so. And he's doing great. He's thriving. And all that he did was go the natural route. And he's been just fine. It was the turning point of his life because he discovered all the natural alternatives, and he totally overcame. And they told him, they were 90-something% sure he wouldn't make it past 3 to 4 months. Look at this from a Ring doorbell camera. Lots of strangeness going on.
Oh my gosh, yes. There's just so much going on. And I am, in some ways, I don't like the cameras, but in other ways, I do like the cameras because it's helping us prove what we have all known all along, that this world is really weird.
Yeah, far weirder than most can imagine. So, Sin Havoc is enjoying Mexico City. Ooh, that would be a great place to visit. Yeah, been to Mexico a couple of times. I would definitely love to spend more time down there as well. So Karma Doc says, number 1, do not panic. It likely took years to develop, so don't get pressed into something in a hurry. Ask about cure rate in 5 years. Don't settle for other statistics. Then get a second and third option. Well said.
Opinion, yeah.
Yeah, opinion, yeah.
I agree. Those are, make those bullet points and think about that. Number 1, I think is most important is don't panic, because if you're in a panic situation, you could end up doing something that's not beneficial to you, and then someone else is going to make a lot of money. It's very important to consult people who truly care, do not have an agenda, and have, if you have fortunately, yet unfortunately, possibly been down that road.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Do not panic, and do not take it as any sort of death sentence. I think a lot of people get wake-up calls. We get wake-up calls from the higher self too, because the higher self wants us to come into alignment with the bigger plan. The bigger plan. What is the bigger plan? Well, that's something that's unique to each person. This is weird. It looks like a giant shadow goes overhead. So the thing is, let's listen to the reaction of the people. They're slowing it down. Yeah, so, what the heck was it? It feels like the start of a really old, 80s horror flick. This is Spain, by the way.
Oh, I know. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, you could feel it when that thing goes by. It's like people are just waiting for something to smash into them.
Expect the unexpected in these times. How about this? Now, this post says this is a newly declassified video that the government released. If so, wow, that's pretty impressive.
That's I want, what that looks like, a boat in the sky, and I want one.
Now, what's interesting too is it has like a little drone orb round sphere around it, which is interesting, especially when we think back to that famous battle in Nuremberg back 1561. All sorts of these flying spheres in the sky. Are we heading back into a time period where we see wars of the gods overhead?
Look at that. I mean, that just looks like a lot of fun, and they do have cool things that fly now, like bikes where you don't need to be a pilot, but this, to me, it looks so much like a boat, and I just want to be on it and go play in the sky.
Sin Havoc was saying he's been astounded by the benefits of hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I know people that have used that to clean their fruits and veggies, for instance, before consuming. Jen was sharing at the age of 30, she had over $2.5 million in medical debt. Wow. And had stuff written off and still working on the credit. Wow, Jen, you've really been through a lot. Thank you for sharing with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about inspiration. When we come together, we explore everything that's wrong in this world and try to, keep each other uplifted about all the things that are right. And what's right is that we're coming together right now.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, and doctors had told her parents to make final arrangements for me at age 12, and now you're 41. Yeah, it's so much of it's will. It really is our will. And if we get convinced, because we put all the faith in the DRs, that we only have 3 or 4 months, we can make that happen. Conversely, we could also say, no, I'm not accepting it. And we can overcome. I really do believe.
Absolutely. Times are changing. Really, times are changing.
Yeah, and we are heading to the Twilight Zone, by the way. It's just going to get weirder from here out. Here you go, some guys doing a little selfie, and then they look and they say, hey, what's that? So is it somebody with like a reflecting mirror or something? I mean, you can see the light shining off in other directions. What? Now, as you zoom in, it starts to get very...
Guitar pick now.
Yeah, it looks like a guitar pick. It looks triangular. Wow, that's almost like the way a star will shimmer.
Yeah, I mean, it is really pretty there. There we go. I like that one. That one's fun. It's a very shiny guitar pick.
It almost reminds me of the 3 knots, like a Triskelion, those 3 knots that come together. Interesting. This is down in Chile. Very interesting place. That is seriously curious, the more you zoom in on that one. There's just so many things that are happening. Here we have Representative Luna on UAP, and now we had the VP, J.D. Vance, saying he didn't think that they were aliens. He thinks they're demons. Let's listen to Luna here.
I have seen evidence in a skiff that leads me to believe there are things we cannot explain, and I have observed things that are of non-human origin and creation. That's my opinion. Again, but there has been a declassification order from the president, and you will see as soon as that stuff comes out.
If you had to just make a decision now about whether there really were, I guess, aliens moving among us with their strange machines that have all sorts of powers, do you think that's plausible?
I don't call them aliens, and I don't know what these things are that they're using, right? But I think that there's stuff that we have witnessed as members of Congress, been briefed on, that we cannot explain. And I will leave it at that, because that's going to be coming out soon, and I think that the American people will have many of their questions answered.
So you've seen in a skiff evidence that...
I can't tell you what I've seen in a skiff, because I'll get in trouble for that.
Right.
But when it's declassified... Well, I have to be careful about how I answer it, but when it's declassified, I will have a press conference and I'll show you exactly what we saw.
Yeah, interesting. I don't call them aliens, but I don't know what they are.
In a skiff that...
Yeah, so what is she thinking then? Is she going to call them angels and demons?
I don't know.
There you go. Now, here you go. This is CBS or CBN News reports that President Trump's UFO declassification could point to possibilities that angels and demons exist, not aliens.
one more thing about this, because we should just dive into this conversation about what it might be, right? Because I think that is and we address this in the film. If you have a couple of options, you're either dealing with actual UFOs and aliens, that there are created beings beyond this world that we don't understand, and there are some Christians that are comfortable with that, or you're dealing with what she said, which is interdimensional beings. Now that's interesting, because what is an interdimensional being? Well, a demon would be an interdimensional being, essentially, right? If you believe in angels and demons and you're a Christian, that's what that would be. So one of the primary theories, and this is one that I think is probably the most prevalent among Christians right now, is that people are not actually seeing aliens that are created species outside of humans living somewhere in the universe. They're actually seeing a spiritual manifestation of something that perhaps they're seeing into the spiritual realm. And there are a number of reasons why, and I know this sounds kind of wild, but we address this in the film. The evidence for why that actually could be the case is pretty interesting, and there's some compelling arguments for it.
Yeah, so, again, it's labels, and some people are not comfortable with certain labels. Okay, this one is pretty fun. It's 1 minute and 11 seconds, right? Watch back here. It's pretty obvious.
Hey, who's there? Easy, buddy. Stay with me.
Now, the convincing part is the dogs. The dogs are the convincing part.
Hey, who's there? Easy, buddy. Stay with me.
So this would be a instance of an interdimensional being.
This one really got me, because Sita is so very sensitive, and I've seen her, when she is on guard and she is guarding, can be a very frightening dog, and I've seen her with her hair up barking down the hallway, and I didn't see anything back there, but I know she did see it. And our animals, they're way more sensitive than we are. So trust your dogs. Your dogs, they smell things, they hear things, they know things. Always trust your dogs.
It's interesting to make note of the mirror there. Just even like yesterday, there was like an object that fell over that I lost track of and just didn't even think again about it. How many times have you had things like that happen? Of course, AI, we could make anything happen, but I think this is a lot more common than most people realize. Again, I did work with a paranormal investigative group for a couple years, like 2007 through 2009. And it was a bunch of soldiers from Fort Jackson. And, we investigated a lot of things, and we got a lot of anomalous activity that absolutely could be classified as interdimensional.
There's just so much out there, and again, there's these in cameras where it looks like she has crutches, so it's like maybe somebody put a camera on her while they were at work so they could help keep an eye on her, and they happen to catch this. It looks realistic to me, because if you look at the thing that goes through the wall, you can see those picture frames move. That's quite a detail.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's the dogs. The dog's reaction is the legit. The one dog comes flying out with the tail under, like seriously scared, seriously freaked out. And the other one is, reacting to the first dog coming out freaked out. So, yeah, it feels exactly like how Rama and Sita would probably react too. So very, very legit feeling. Very cool. A very fun one for sure. All right. Now this is just for fun, guys. Hey, who is that? All right, now that one is definitely AI, but that, again, there's so much out there right now, and you have AI all mixed into the mix, which, I think there's a lot of people that do it as a way of debunking, because, maybe they are themselves of a more religious mindset and don't want to think about the possibility of other beings from other worlds. Now, here you go. This is in Kentucky. Tons of strange lights in the sky at this time. Tons of orbs. Tons of things that are non-physical, but then there's also those that are more physical and kind of mechanical in some cases. But there's just so much right now that is going on. It's a wild time to be alive. How about this one? This one's from Italy, supposedly a few years ago, and the uploader thought that it was Pleiadian. Do you have any sort of inkling on this one?
Arcturian comes, but Pleiadian, Arcturian, it's high vibe.
Yeah, high vibe. Yeah, absolutely. This is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I do think there's many beings out there that have the ability to, I guess you would say, unmanifest and manifest in certain certain dimensions due to their ability to adjust their own frequency.
Yeah, I mean, that's we're going to be seeing more and more of it.
Yeah, it's just part of the world that is starting to come together around us. So, yeah, Italy, that's a fun one. Now, back to some other things. Airlines across Europe could shut down over high fuel prices. So warns Wizz Air CEO. Carriers already facing financial difficulties may be especially vulnerable. British Airways and Air France could also encounter challenges. We had shared with you guys, Cindy got way back in 2020, that come 2035, I think it was, nobody flies. Literally, 2035, nobody is flying anymore. Why? That seems so severe, but maybe now we could see how it's coming about. There's the war situation, which is causing financial catastrophe and energy issue for sure. It's, I think, going to be drawn out. Putin and Trump were meeting. They had a phone call. We should say it was reported that they had a phone call. But again, I don't think it's part of the script that this gets resolved quickly and smoothly. No, they're bringing about change in the financial system. That's just part of it. They want to get us prepared for the next part. And I think really what all this is pointing at is the return in some way, shape, or form of the Anunnaki, the Elohim, and the realization that we've had a lot of interactions, and there is coming a time when we will be interacting again. We will see the Anunnaki or the Elohim in the skies above us. So, do they have to shut down humans? Are we witnessing another Tower of Babel, so to speak, where, look, humankind is too much working together, and we got to separate that. We got to stop that. We can't have them, getting to the point where they really, truly could get off planet and go elsewhere.
Well, they're making it so that we're separated slowly but surely. We used to go from talking in person to then talking on the phone. So that's, 1 degree of separation. Then we go from talking on the phone to texting on the phone, and that's another degree of separation. And, it's really important to talk to someone because it releases that oxytocin. energy that we all need, that hormone, that connection hormone that helps us grow and helps us heal and helps us feel safe and loved. And, it activates certain healing hormones. But now, and texting is shown to raise cortisol levels. So here we are, we're texting all the time, and I love staying connected. I want to be connected, but I don't want the extra cortisol. It's just sad that, because that's how we have to communicate now, because we're so separated, but we're together, and it's really quite confusing now.
Confusing times. This is talking about any problems. So this is very, very curious. Whose drone is this? Was it military? And, if it was military, if it was it one of ours or somebody else's? What is a drone doing at 3,000 feet that's not military? So, this is very, very disconcerting. Again, the time that we are entering is a time of just amazing change. Do you realize more than 60% of the United States is covered by drought right now? This is one of the worst that we've seen in 100 years. And as you can see, this show how it's getting rapidly much, much worse. We had the switch from La Nina to El Nino, which we're in that period right now. We're in the transition period. We should have full El Nino effects by fall or even the latter part of summer. But you got to say, with all the geomodification that we know is out there, all the cloud seeding, why do we have a drought? That should be just ridiculous that there's a drought. Obviously, the technology exists to alleviate it. Why aren't they doing it?
Yeah, sorry about that bump a minute ago, you guys. Thanks for hanging in there. If you don't mind, go ahead and do the thumbs up, because they're just doing everything they can to keep squishing us, and we're doing everything we can to keep going. So thanks for hanging in there, and thanks for your support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Sin Havoc talks about this 70% of the U.S. covered in data centers. That's only going to increase. And we know that there will be a correlation between the two. So, again, when you have severe drought, it's really bad for the growing situation. And everything that we see that's going on right now is all about basic necessities, which, you need a roof over your head or some sort of protection. Again, from the elements, you need food and you need water. I mean, it's just given. So, again, Big Brother wants us eating just, I don't know, what would you call that? Synthetic things. They want us to depend on them. They want us to depend on the system, Big Brother, and they don't want us being independent. They hate that. The driest state compared with its average has been Utah, where there's been 59% reduction in precipitation since October. Not far behind are Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico, seeing 46, 43, and 39% reduction respectively. The West's hydrology and climate are very much out of sync with the historical rhythm. And also, Florida is really hard hit. As you can see, it's a massive, massive chunk of the U.S., pretty much the whole southern half for the most part. Yeah, not a good situation. Highway 41 fire, this is in Florida, explodes to 5,000 acres near the Everglades. So this is Highway 41. I've done that through the Everglades before. It's a very interesting ride, to say the least. Very, very ancient energies down in there. But yeah, big fire going on right here. This is 6 miles west of Miami, and it's expanding rapidly. Fire crews are doing their best, but it's not contained at all at this point in time. For the safety of the public and firefighters, closures are in place between L67 and L31 canals from U.S. Route 41 to Miami Trail. I always love that name. South to north of Mahogany Hammock. It's a bad situation that we're seeing. Georgia as well. And then the hail. This truck was smashed and their house was smashed. There was some insane hail going on in certain areas. Texas, one of them. Look at that hail damage. She's basically swearing her head off, understandably. Hope you have a really good insurance policy there. And the house is the same thing. The house is just beaten to a pulp, too. Look at all the damage. When do you see that type of damage from hail? Not very often.
Oh, you just got to pray that there was semi-decent insurance.
Of course, the insurance companies want to just take your money and not pay out. That's typically the way it is. Wow, this was just insane. Insane damage. A giant hail up to 4.5 inches across reported in Texas. Destructive 4-inch hail also up in Missouri. Just crazy. Oklahoma, Arkansas, over to Mississippi. We had a wild storm earlier today. We did lose power briefly. It was really brief, only 15, 20 minutes maybe. But the weather was insane. We rushed as much as we can to get as much work done outside as we could. That's why we didn't do a early morning video. We were outside working until the rain wouldn't let us and the storms came in. They were intense. Look at, again, the damage from the hail. Holy crap. Sorry, but I just don't think this is just natural. I think these things are augmented, at least augmented. Floods leave at least 24 dead across western Yemen as rainfall continues. Yemen, in case you don't know, is a predominantly desert area, but there's a lot of predominantly desert areas right now that are having exceptional rainfall and just incredible floods. It's very, very biblical, and it is definitely claiming a lot of lives right now. But I think also the potential is for the lives that will be claimed later on, as we really run into true food shortages.
I know, yeah, that's something that is coming, they say, with the food shortages. So before those get here, just do what you can to have something at home, or know a farmer, know your neighbors, just know your surroundings.
Yeah, absolutely. Work locally, work with family, work with friends, work with neighbors. Again, support each other as much as you can. It's just a wild, wild time. This is over in Iran. There's so many videos, and I've said this every single day because more and more videos keep popping up showing massive inundations that they say have only took place after all the U.S. military bases were basically shut down in the Middle East. Where this is obviously the statement that they want to say is that the U.S. was controlling the weather and causing a lot of the desertification and drought that they've had. How quickly can our regions change? I think very quickly. Again, we have maps that are 500 years old that show the Sahara green, full of rivers and lakes that don't exist. But they did. They were literally mapped. Was that just a big conspiracy to have fake maps, put in our timeline? No. I think, again, Mother Nature, Earth could rebound so quickly. I don't think that all the areas of desert that we have are natural. I actually think, no, it's quite the opposite. I think that the control system works at making food scarce because they could control us through, again, dangling carrots like food when people are hard pressed to supply enough food for themselves. And what's been happening is everybody is having a harder time supporting themselves. Or again, when you look at the modern system of just-in-time deliveries, literally, at any time, any of the major grocery stores, they only really have a couple days of food sitting there at any time. They're not stocked with massive warehouses that are right there on site. No, it's the just-in-time delivery system, which also means that we're in a lot of trouble if anything shuts it down for any period of time.
Yeah, and all of that's just very, very deliberate.
Yeah, no farms, no food, which equals a lot of very, very desperate people that may agree to things they wouldn't agree to normally.
Yeah, that's just not a good situation. It's not a place you want to be.
Yeah, Alivek's sense of community is strong here. Farm country, that's beautiful. Absolutely. God bowling is thunder. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I always got too. Everybody in my family used to always say that too. It's just God bowling up there.
Indeed.
Yeah, and I agree, Bob. Insurance is legalized extortion. And then when you think about it, that you might have ways to connect the insurance companies to the companies that are literally controlling the weather, there you go. It's the reality. It's a catch-22. They have us kind of lock, stock, and barrel. So if this is really happening and the change is that drastic, wow, what would happen if we shut down all HARP and CERN? A lot of talk about CERN lately, and Cindy was talking about it. BP has been talking about it.
Well, there's just so many important pieces that are coming together from all different walks. It's like everyone is having their very large, important puzzle piece. And, I'm sitting here watching all of this information come together from different aspects and painting a rather large picture. I mean, but there's so much information. It's hard to even pull it together in a way that's understandable. But I'm watching this, and I'm watching things change and turn, and I'm watching the dimensions collapse in on one another, and everything is poised for a very large awakening. Is something that we haven't seen before in the past. I do feel the energy is getting to a point where things are going to get noticed soon.
Well, some people are noticing this California $2.2 billion solar plant shutting down. Actually, they've been trying to shut this down for a while, and they're meeting resistance with getting it shut down, but it's not producing. The promise was affordable, reliable green power. The reality was high cost, technical failures, ecological damage. I think they know. I mean, I think at the highest level, they know when things aren't going to work. I do think that's the case. But they do it anyway. Why? I think in a lot of ways, yeah. I mean, well, why does China build cities to just tear them down? Why do they build empty cities? They literally have cities that they've built, and then they tear them down. Well, think about all the scams we see. Minnesota, Tim Walz, he's getting more fires lit under his butt now with all the the fake daycare things, and I mean, just all the scams that are running. Again, there's all sorts of Ponzi schemes. Ukraine, obviously, is a very similar situation. But yeah, this solar, the Ivanpah solar power facility, 392 megawatt concentrated solar thermal plant in Mojave Desert near the California-Nevada border. It's currently operational following a December 2025 ruling by the California Public Utilities Commission that rejected plans to close the plant in 2026, requiring 2 of its 3 units to remain running. Why is it that they're giving up? Why did we even go down this route when we could literally pull power right out of the air? Because it's there. I mean, there's literally ways of using the Earth itself as a battery. All you got to do is check out some of the YouTube videos on it. There's so much stuff that's coming out right now. You could soon see robot baggage handlers dealing with your summer holiday luggage as major airline trials well, not a humanoid crew. Yes, this is Japan Airlines. Chinese-made robots are going to be integrated into ground operations at Haneda Airport in Tokyo. Oh, it's the beginning of the end, guys. Now, what Japan doesn't know is those Chinese robots are programmed to take them over from within. And I'm only half joking about that. You're going to be seeing a lot of this. GMO Internet Group. Yeah. I just got to share with you Christoph's yesterday, his video. Wow. He talks about a lot of robot. Oh boy, he went off and got some amazing visions on the next 10, 20 years. And what he saw right off the bat is what he's seen many times. He says, in the future, if you look 10 years down the road, even 10, there's way less people on the planet. There's way less people on the planet than there is right now. There is a big, huge decline in population. And here he's talking about the robots. There's lots of robots. And they're going to be doing such assimilation where many people will be robots, made just like people. Many people will be treated like people. Some of this is being translated from Polish. But basically, what he sees is a world where there's way less people than there is now. And a big portion of the population is robots. And this is, again, he's looking 10 to 20 years in the future. He even sees humans marrying robots or robot hybrids. He literally picks up on that as well. This was one of his more fascinating ones recently. It wasn't just about war and the next couple of years, which he sees World War III lasting until the middle of 2028. But he sees there being some sort of truce that happens, and the U.S. loses its power and influence and is kind of isolated. But here, the other part that's really disconcerting is we will have the internet in our heads. This is exactly what we have been warned about. Now, is he just watching one timeline? Could be. Is he watching what's going to happen to the people that go in a certain direction? Now, he did see that, there are some people that are going to do that thing that Elon has talked about. Some people that would be chipped in so that they are completely in the internet. They're part of the system. He says we will live in the world of the internet, the modern internet. What will it be like? It's like Total Recall, where you'll have these vacations where you don't really go anywhere. You go on the internet. You could go anywhere on the internet. It's going to seem real, but it won't be real. Your body will just be, sleeping or what have you, but your consciousness will be out there on the internet. And even time travel too, you could roll it back into the past, roll it up into the future, but it's not real. It's just all the internet. So he sees that, at least some of the world is going to go that route that the WEF and Elon have talked about.
Yeah, it's just pretty crazy, the things that are not too far away. And Susan Donahue says a guy in Asia already married a robot. Yeah, and I saw a woman doing that too, marrying her AI boyfriend on the phone, and she was so extremely emotional. And you got to wonder, how do these videos get blown up to be so big with millions and millions and millions of views?
Yeah, it's this was a fascinating one, because he does also say that and he mentioned countries. So I think what he's seeing is the more advanced countries. Certainly, we could see like Europe right now, Europe and Canada, New Zealand, Australia. Again, I think we can push back and we can claim our own freedom, because he does see that there's going to be people in some places that totally don't want anything to do with it, and that won't be in that internet. They won't be merged. Some people in some places will, some people in other places won't, and they will totally reject it. But what he was viewing were the ones that accepted it and took the merger, the singularity with AI. So he was picking up that at like age 21 you'll be able to do an age regression technologically that might keep you 21 for like another 20 years. So lots of interesting stuff coming out. But not everybody is going to embrace it, and depends on where you are in the world, because in some places people will embrace it and be absorbed into the Borg, so to speak, but in other places people will not. So it was a fascinating one, because again, the world in 10 to 20 years is like going to be so different than what we are right now. It's going to be just a completely changed world. Now, he's also been seeing a lot to do with Trump and the coming Messiah, or that he calls the Messiah. And it was fascinating too, because he was focusing in. Oh, KK, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you, KK.
He was zeroing in on Jared Kushner, and it was interesting because from that point he started to say that or it might have been the one before this, but he was saying that there's a government behind the government, that the government we see is not the real government, and Trump is the predecessor to the Messiah. That Trump's job is basically to pave the way for the Messiah, or what people would take to be the Antichrist to come. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what he is doing right now, literally with Netanyahu. They're paving the way for the Antichrist Messiah.
Indeed.
Yeah, interesting. So pretty wild stuff, really, really wild stuff, but it's fascinating to see this. Here you go. A passenger on a flight freaks out after seeing that.
Oh my gosh. And thank you, Karma Doc.
Thank you so much, Karma Doc. We love you and appreciate you. And, I was saying to Cindy too, I mean, you were so generous with the little babies, they've been such a joy, and everything else. And then also all that you gave us from SH, it's the Fan Farms. Yeah.
It's been great. Thank you so much.
I think, again, this is straight out of the emerald tablets. They will no longer be able to hold their shape, and people are going to start to realize that some of the people that were around, they're not us. They're not human. They literally are not human. Any one particular case can be just AI or somebody that's tripping on something. I don't know. Maybe he had too many magic mushrooms. You don't know. Or it could be that his pineal gland's pretty awake and he just caught something that, would shock the average person. They say 47 is the age you hit peak happiness, according to science. Are you truly happy if you're 47 years old? The answer is likely yes. A new survey has revealed that Brits reach their peak health and happiness at 47. That might not be anything depending on the yuga, because again, we are going into a new yuga. And I don't think we have to rely on technology. This is the thing. They always copycat what comes natural. The internet. It's kind of like, again, if you develop your PSI abilities, if you develop your pineal gland and your abilities, we can communicate telepathically. That is the mode of communication for the vast majority of beings in the universe.
It's just the way things are. It's the way things are. It's just all telepathic.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you look to a Bronze Age, according to not just the Vedic point of view, but the ancient Greek, Bronze Age humans could live up to 1,000 years. This is where we get those biblical ages like Methuselah, 969 years. Here you have an Alexa started praying.
Por nuestros pecados y por los del mundo entero. Por su dolorosa pasión, ten misericordia de nosotros.
And Alexa started praying on their own at 2 a.m. and nobody understands a thing. Footage captured by security cameras at an El Palacio de Hierro CDMX is downright chilling. It wasn't just one. Several of them kicked in and synchronized a prayer right in the dead of night. Ooh, what was that all about? Ultimately, again, you got to recognize, this technology truly is kind of satanic when you get down to it.
It has its own attachments.
Yeah, it literally is. It is an internet. There's a demon in the internet. A lot of them. And here's the elites sitting down for dinner. If you could really see what the elites look like.
Oh, that must be a fun movie.
I don't want to know what's on the menu there. I'm just saying, don't show me a menu. Don't show me a menu. I don't want to know. Wow, if we could really see them for what they truly are.
To serve man.
Yeah, absolutely. If they invite you to the barbecue, don't go. Definitely don't go. The Simpsons predicted Donald Trump will form an unexpected alliance with extraterrestrial leaders. This won't be a typical political partnership, but one based on mutual interest in Earth resources. The aliens who have long been observing Earth will see Trump's unorthodox style as an opportunity to forge a relationship that could change the future of humanity. Their primary goal will be to gain access to Earth's natural resources, but Trump's involvement will create a partnership that could reshape global power dynamics. This is again from The Simpsons in 2026. Hey, wait a minute. That's this year.
Yeah, we're here. Here we are.
We are here. So is that Trump meeting the Messiah Antichrist? Is that what it's going to look like? Is the Messiah going to be a tall gray? Is it going to be a tall white? Is it going to be a fallen Pleiadian? Think about it. Is it really? Are we just talking about the return of the Anunnaki? Think about it. Again, the Anunnaki were all over the world, but it seems like when they first came, their primary base, the main focal point was in the Middle East, literally. The land of Israel, a land of Persia, Acadia, Sumer, the whole battleground that we were always watching the wars happen over. Not that they don't happen elsewhere, because they do. But think about this. This would be the merging of disclosure with a new revelation as far as religion goes.
I know there's a lot of change coming. It's exciting.
It is. It is. This is really, really wild. Susan says grilled lizard sounds good. I've had gator, and makes good substance to use with different dipping sauces.
I was surprised. I didn't like that I liked it.
Yeah, I forced her kind of into it. I kind of nudged her. She didn't really want to try. So it's pretty wild. Then we have Sammy Hagar, great musician. Love Sammy. And talking about his UFO encounter. I know we've talked about it. I actually did a full video on it once. He's a good guy, I think. And he shares his encounter.
Yeah, and I had a UFO experience, and that was in 67, 68.
And you weren't high or anything?
No, I didn't do drugs. I didn't even drink back then.
And who visited?
They just randomly picked me, and I woke up while they were doing it. I'm going, what the fuck's going on? My room was white. I mean, it was like I couldn't see anything. It was a complete whiteout. I laid there, couldn't move. All of a sudden, they said in another language, just telepathy, this is done. He's waking up or whatever, and they yelled a numerical code that was obviously, like your passcode to get into your shit,
Yeah.
And boom, it was almost like a wire in the air. And I woke up and it was black, and I was shaking, and I could. Yeah, and I had a UFO experience, and that was in 67, 60.
Pretty wild, So it's interesting because I saw multiple people talking about how aliens give us upgrades, downgrades. I think it depends on which aliens are picking us up. For sure. It depends on which ones are picking you up.
There's good and bad in everything.
There is. And sometimes you could be picked up by beings that are benevolent, and they're going to actually help you. You might literally be fighting something that could potentially be terminal, and then they could nip it in the bud. Energetically and reinsert you back in. Other times, there could be other ones out there to sabotage. I would share that we've had both the good and the bad happen with us.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
It has been, and it's the case for a lot more people than people would probably believe and realize. Absolutely, it's much more common when you think about that. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and then the Anunnaki came. Then that whole other group came. Yeah, and the earth was without form and void. It definitely is something that many people have caught on and say, well, we're talking about two different creations. You're talking about an original creation, and then you're talking about something happening and the original creation's kind of wiped out. And then you have other beings coming in and playing creator God, but they're maybe genetically re-engineering what's already been here. Ah, yes, when we start talking about those Anunnaki beings, those big, tall beings, that genetically modified Homo sapiens, and, the encounters in the biblical time put them on a little bit more modern twist and think more about Tatooine, think more about, again, beings like the Sith that are all about power and control and resources. And then we start to get a little clearer picture of, some of the bad genes in the family.
There's that, there's the bad eggs there.
Yeah, again, humans, us, we are actually very unique, and we have an awful lot of various DNAs in us from many different places.
It's pretty vast.
It is seriously vast. We have so much potential. In fact, I think that they truly are jealous of us in some ways, because we can definitely go higher than they can go.
Way higher, and I think we're going to find out some pretty cool stuff in the very near future.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cindy's going to give us some dings, and I'm going to say Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my thoughts, words, actions, and deeds contribute to that freedom and happiness.
And just really quick before the dings, I just did want to make a mention of our two affiliates, LifeWave and Promo Life. They've been very, very good to us and for us. They're products that we use as our part of our routine. That's just what we do. And we trust them, and that's what we use. And they've been very supportive in our overall health. And it's just been really nice. And we wanted to share that with you guys. So they're both very good companies, very good products, wonderful customer service. And, if you've been struggling and if you've tried all the things or you're still trying the things, add these in and watch yourself move up. It's really going to help. And I just had to mention that Karma Doc, she helped us, she got us involved with patches, and we are very, very grateful. So just wanted to say that. And then also, it's phototherapy. We want to talk about what is it. It's phototherapy. So
yeah, it's again, the big advances are going to be made in understanding light and sound, and resonance and frequency, vibration. These are the key things. So it's literally healing with light as far as the patches.
It is. It's healing with light, and that's another thing that Mike and I do. We heal with our own light. We're both healers. We're both Reiki master teachers. And if you're just stuck in a rut, that's something that we do. I do Vedic astrology, and, I work with the planets, and I work with you, and we figure out where you're at and just help you move forward. So Mike has a really strong background in fitness and nutrition. So that's what we do. Just wanted to mention that and say thank you to Karma Doc and KK tonight. And we're going to do some dings. And I've been doing some special dings tonight. So please make some good intentions and make sure you drink water after we do these dings, because they will help you. And then one of the things that we do, if we do a session on you, is I do biofield tuning, and we can get very personal with your energy field and help diffuse and remove blocks and just help realign your whole energy field to get you on a much better path. So here we go with these. Y'all are so amazing. Thank you so much for all of your support through all of these years. We really appreciate it, and we love working with you. Can't wait to do it again. Source bless and namaste.
Much love, guys. Thank you so much. Namaste.